Brent, are you a Trump supporter?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Brent, you're not gonna crash out or slur or anything like that, are you?
No, not at all.
All right. Thank you. Thank
I
you.
just want to have a genuine debate.
Okay. Me too. Me too. Perfect. All right. You know what? I got a bunch of stuff on the background. You can pick the stuff on the background. You can tell me if you think something wrong, or I'll even take whatever you want to talk about. At this point, as long as you're not crashing out and slurring, I'll talk to you about whatever.
I just agree that there's problems on both sides.
Okay.
I just feel like we just need to all come together, political backgrounds, ethnicities, whatever it is, and just come together as, human beings to, fix our own nation. Our own divide is what causes a lot of our problems. There's racism on both sides. There's violence
I
on both
disagree with
sides.
that one. Well, no, I agree with that. Okay, hold on. So
Well, the
I agree
racism
with
side,
you.
I mean, you have Democrats that have called, African Americans monkeys. I mean, you had our own president go in front of Congress at a time, Biden, and he wanted to separate black people. He wanted to
He
make sure
didn't.
black people didn't want to be in, I mean, even up to
He
the
didn't.
point,
That's not true. But see, let
there's
me
videos
say
of
this.
Congress of him saying that.
No, it's not. I mean, I already know what you're talking about because like he's been misquoted or whatever. People don't understand the actual context of what he's saying. Like I don't care. We can talk about that in a second. But what I do want to
Yeah.
talk about is like I want to tell you what I agree with you with first, right? So I
Yeah.
definitely agree that we should be uniting, right? Because the actual issue is not left versus right; it's up versus down, and
True.
the idea that like billionaires, millionaires, but specifically billionaires should exist is mind blowing. And I say this all the time: no matter if you are a billionaire on the left, a billionaire on the right, you're a billionaire. You're going to be fine, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. But even more than that, right? The You can talk about racists being on both sides of the eye. I agree, right? I mean, there's racist people that vote right. There's racist people that vote left. But when you talk about like black people and people of color, the reason why they overwhelmingly vote for the left is because they vote for harm reduction and they vote for progression, right? That's the only way that we're going to have any type of real change here within our country.
I agree
Um,
with you on that.
yeah, but then when you talk about the right, question for you: who do you think the Triple K voted with?
I honestly think they went more Republican, even though I'm Republican.
Yeah.
I
What
do.
about the Proud
I
Boys?
believe that. I I believe Republican as well.
What about the Boogaloo Boys or the Oath Keepers?
Um, that one I'm on the fence.
It was the right. They're loud and proud
Yeah,
about it. What about like the self-proclaimed Schnazis?
that is definitely more right.
Yeah. So the
See,
point
when
that I'm saying is that, like, I
I
agree
agree
that
with you.
there's races on both sides, but the right becomes a safe harbor for those actual people who are openly and adamantly racist.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that because the reason why, see, my political view is different than a lot of other people's political views.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm looking at, see, I voted Republican because I felt like we need, not because of, it didn't matter if it was Trump, it didn't matter who the hell it was. Basically, most of the time, a Republican that comes into presidency has a business aspect of stuff to help grow America, help, do a lot of things. But the problem is, too, they don't have that concept of everything else that's going on in the world. It's mostly just being the biggest powerhouse, being the best. And I just, I see exactly your point on a lot of things because I'm from California.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we mostly Democratic state.
Mm-hmm.
I see the problems. I'm not saying all Democrats are an issue, but like Newsom, he has great policies on certain things, but on the other side of stuff, it's like his policies, he doesn't give a shit about the people.
Yeah.
Newsom himself, he's filthy rich. I mean, he owns a bunch of businesses. He's made a lot of money off of California itself for his own self. And, he's done a lot. But the thing is what I like about Newsom, and I have no issue with him, is because he unites people, like when it comes to it. So, there is more violence on a Republican side because, basically everybody wants to defend themselves and, everything like that. And they think just because you can hold a gun, you can, shoot. But Democratic states are the same way. They don't have gun control that to that extent. It's more common sense.
True. Look at New York.
But it's ran by Democrats.
Yeah, but there's more gun control in New York. Like technically, cities tend to have more gun control versus rural areas, and those blue cities have
no,
more
you're right.
overall control. But what? Let me say this.
But I
What if
come
I
from
told
a
you?
crime-infested state that is ran by a Democrat.
Okay, yeah,
See,
I hear you.
I live in
What
San
if I tell
Francisco.
you though, like over the last 55 years, the perpetuation of the Republican Party being like good for business or jobs or anything is just a myth. What if I told you that?
The Republican side for jobs is just a
Everything,
myth.
everything,
Everything.
like business, jobs, like all of it.
In
This
what
is what I'm saying is
in what
since
sense?
1970,
Yeah.
since 1970, under the Republican Party, the GDP has grown by 0.94%, right?
Yeah.
Under Republican leadership. And since 1970, under Democratic leadership, the GDP has grown by 2.88%,
But
right?
can't we factor in that?
Oh, there's more. Like
Yeah.
you have to factor all these together because standing alone is a straw man. But once you put it all together, then you understand. But since 1970, the total amount of jobs created under Republican leadership is 27 million jobs. The total amount of jobs created under Democratic leadership is 61.2 million jobs. The stock market performance under Republican leadership since 1970, the stock market has gone up 793.28%. Under Democratic leadership, the stock market has gone up 2,228.57%. The average unemployment rate under Republican leadership is 6.6% since 1970. And in that same time frame, under Democratic leadership, it's 5.84%. Under Republican leadership, 7 different recessions have started. Under Democratic leadership, 1. As far as Republican leadership throughout Congress since 1970, there's been 372 criminal indictments of Republican leaders since 1970. In that same time frame, it's only been 3 Democratic leaders. And don't forget the cherry on the top. Since 1970, there's been 34 counts of felonies for United States presidents on the Republican side, and on the Democratic side, there's none. Now, as the caveat for that is Donald Trump has all 34, but to kind of drive the point home, the Republican Party has propagandized the strong leadership and growth and all this other stuff, but since the 1970s, the numbers say they're just not good at what they do.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Also too, Democrats are the number one to bail out a lot of the corporate companies when
I
it
agree.
comes down to certain things. So those job statistics can stay in place due to, them always bailing out everybody, giving money to all these other countries. I mean,
like I do agree that you can talk about like under Barack Obama,
yeah,
bailed out the banking industry, the airline
automotive.
industry, the automotive, the housing. He could have let those collapse. But
Yeah,
if he would
and I
have,
don't
then it would have been
disagree.
really bad for the country.
I don't disagree on, see, I have a different perspective view because, my background, I'm a government contractor and I do a lot of government work, and under any, president or, Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. There are good basis on both. I just look at it more as I see the Republicans on a business factor of certain things, and then also too, with Democrats, like I said, just for California itself. See, I'm just basing it off of, what I've experienced in my own state
Mm-hmm.
of, you know, like illegal immigrants coming in. I
Mm-hmm.
don't mind that at all,
And
as long
undocumented,
as,
friend.
yeah, my parents came as an illegal immigrant, so I'm not
Sure, but
against that in any
undocumented.
type.
We just want
Yeah,
to make sure that we aren't being dehumanizing.
exactly. And my dad came here from Portugal with nothing, and my dad's a Democrat, and he has always been, because when he came to the U.S., he flourished, in California and stuff like that. And it was under, Democratic side of stuff. And, I kind of am on both ends of it, but the only thing that I see your numbers, I really do. And
Mm-hmm.
then it actually puts a few things into perspective, because honestly, I should have looked at the numbers more than, you know, what I have been, because you are correct. There's been a lot more jobs on that side of stuff with Democrats.
Yeah.
But
So, and the thing that I don't want to perpetuate is that the Democratic Party is some virtuistic party that actually does well overall. I mean, personally, I think on a local level, prior to Donald Trump, local level Republicans did better with managing the areas locally versus on a national level. But
yeah,
since Trump, like even local Republicans have faltered, right? So I think there's a huge difference, but like I think it's a little bit I don't want to call it disingenuous, but like it's like dang it, what's the word? Not entitled. Maybe entitled. It's a little bit of privilege, I guess, for you to sit in a blue state, right? A safe blue state, California, which has the
they're
largest.
not safe at all. I mean, you can say it has the largest economy. You
Well,
can
safe.
say
Not.
it,
I'm not talking about crime. I'm talking about safe in the sense that it has the largest economy in the U.S. right, fourth in the world, but also it's a country where like rights are codified into law, whether it's abortion rights. The minimum wage is above the national level.
it's
Access
above the
to
national level
resources,
because
and
everything is extremely expensive out here. I mean,
I
gosh
agree.
dang, our taxes are through the roof. Our sales
Yes,
taxes are through the roof. Our fuel and gas is through the
I
roof.
agree.
We're going to have
Yeah,
to
I mean,
start paying to
I'm
even
not far from you.
drive.
I'm up in Washington State, so like
Oh,
the
I love
entire West
Washington.
Coast. Like
Yeah.
I feel where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Gas is a bitch here as well,
Yeah.
but like the point that I'm saying is, like you, me,
Yeah.
people that live in these blue states, while we may disagree with certain policies of the leaders of these blue states, I think it's a little bit. It would be us living in privilege to compare ourselves to other states within the country. While you may be a Republican, do you want to live in like Nebraska or Idaho or even like Ohio? Are you interested in living in those states where not only is crime higher in those certain states, but you talk about the actual, yeah, the cost of living may be lower, but you talk about like the overall life expectancy, quality, education, like earning potential, all of those things are way lower in those blue states. So I'm
No,
sorry, in
I
those red states versus blue states. Holy smokes. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
no,
take
I
a shot
totally
at
get that.
Iowa like that.
No, I totally get that. The thing
Ohio.
is like with I'm privileged to, be raised and be from California. I am. I totally respect that. It's a beautiful state. It's great and everything. But also too, when you get down to the nitty gritty of it, because I don't know what part of Washington you live in, because I lived in Seattle for about a year. And, Seattle was great. I loved Seattle. And, but being from like the Bay Area, crime is just like, it's sad to say, it's just crime is just a second thought because it just happens. I mean, between Oakland, San Francisco, all the theft, and then the leniency on theft. See, the problem is California almost sometimes, see, like I said, I'm not talking shit about the state, but at the same time, it almost inhabits crime.
Sure,
It comes to a point where it's, are you doing enough crime to even survive here? You
sure.
know?
Let me ask you this question: out of the top 25 cities, right? Top
Mhm.
25 cities in the U.S. How many of those cities do you think are democratically ran cities?
The biggest majority of them are.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Of the biggest cities?
No, not the biggest cities, but the top 25 cities as far as crime.
Oh, it's in Republican cities. I know that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and even more so, I mean, you take a look at the actual states, right? I mean, you have Tennessee, technically Wisconsin, right? Which sucks, but whatever. You got Alaska, you got New Mexico, you have again Michigan, which sucks. You got I'm sorry, Ohio, you got Tennessee, you got Georgia, you got Texas, you got Kansas, like you got Arkansas, you got Louisiana. So you can talk about like the actual cities, or you can talk about the states. But like a
Yeah.
lot of these actual Republican-led states are higher in crime than any of these blue cities or states that you talk about. Now, I will give you Oakland, California, but
Yeah.
Oakland, California is, let's see, one, two, three, four, seven. Oh no, I'm sorry. No, seven, eight, nine. Oakland, California is outside of the top 10.
Yeah. I mean, they've cleaned it up quite a bit.
It's
I'm talking about
13,
previous
13 out of
years.
25.
Like recently in the past few years, I give it to Newsom, honestly, for cleaning up California. You know, a lot of crime was happening. It's not really like unsafe where you can't like walk the streets. It's just typical crime where, the city of San Francisco is losing businesses left and right. I mean, they're shutting down everything just because of robberies and, all that stuff. And there's always just that, that typical crime, the influx of drugs. I mean, hell, you can go by like the courthouse and get hypodermic needles. I guess it's to keep it more sanitary, but at the same time there's just a lot of things that could be changed. But I do really see your point on a lot of stuff. I
Right.
mean,
And which, like,
I've never
so,
really talked to somebody like this
yeah.
on this type of aspect of it, so it's actually really nice to
Yeah,
bring stuff
no,
into perspective.
absolutely. And which I'll say this, right? Because again, and like the caveat that I gave, prior to the Trump administration, I felt like Republicans did better on the local level, while Democrats did better on a national level. But like when you take a look at the Trump administration, Donald Trump ran on like these big dreams, right? But never talked about how he was going to deliver any of them. And I mean, you seem like a pretty intelligent, at least a level-headed guy. Prior to Donald Trump being elected as president, did you know what a tariff was?
No, I've heard of them, but we didn't really even put that into perspective of anything with
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
tariffs.
Donald Trump said that he was going to lower prices and bring back jobs by using tariffs. Now, the issue with that is tariffs are inflationary, right?
No, it's true.
So once he actually said he was going to put tariffs on everything, he was telling people like, "Hey, I plan on raising all of your prices." And then like the catch 22 to like using tariffs to bring back manufacturing, one, like we're not a manufacturing country. So even if we did say today, like, "Hey, we're going to become a manufacturing country," it'll take about 10 to 15 years for us to actually fully be able to do that. That's not something we can just flip a switch and start doing, because that's not what we do here. Um, but then outside of that, like we have developed past that, so we shouldn't want to go backwards. But even more, in order to uh, justify utilizing tariffs to entice people to bring back manufacturing, or even to help the actual cost of American goods, Donald Trump would have to put such a massive tariff on everything, the tariffs that haven't even like been levied before, the tariffs would have to be that big in order to make it even beneficial to buy American made goods. So the only thing Donald Trump is doing, even with the tariffs, I think he went up to like 125% on Chinese goods.
Yeah,
Even
it's
with that,
ridiculous.
yeah, but even with that, the only thing that he did was make those Chinese goods more expensive, but they were still cheaper than the American made goods. So he just raised prices for everyone without even accomplishing anything.
It's true.
So I say all that to say Donald Trump made a lot of big, bold promises, but for people who didn't know what those things actually were, like he set all us up for failure.
Yeah. I can agree on that. There's a lot of things I don't agree with. The Epstein files should have came out. We all know he was a friend with him. I mean, let them out. There's no secret to it. I mean, what worse can happen with him being on the list? I mean, they were either friends or in the same circle or associates at some type of time. I agree. Our economy right now is trash, even though it's being rebuilt up, and there's a lot of good things and a lot of stuff coming back to the U.S. A lot of
But
businesses and
it's
jobs will
actually
be
not
open, but
like what's funny? Even with Donald Trump, first of all, have you heard Donald Trump talking about like by the end of the year we're gonna have like $20 trillion invested in the US?
yeah,
Okay. So first and foremost, that's larger than most countries' GDP. So
yes,
that's not true, right?
no,
Even some of those countries that he said made those deals, he's saying that some of those countries committed larger amounts than their yearly GDP, right?
that can happen. It's common
Exactly.
sense.
But even more than that, Donald Trump has gotten commitments but not signed any actual deals. And I think that's a key piece that like a lot of Trump supporters don't even think about. Donald Trump has said that, oh, we have this deal, and he'll get people to come to the White House and take pictures and smile and shake hands and say, I'm going to commit this and commit that and commit this, and they don't actually do it. Even like I don't know if you heard the video when Zuckerberg was at the White House and they were and he got caught on a hot mic because Donald Trump was like, "Hey, how much are you planning on investing in the U.S.?" And he was like, "Oh, we're gonna invest. I think it was like 250 billion or something." Like he said some astronomical number, and Trump was like, "Yeah, that's good." And then they caught him on a hot mic with him saying, "Yeah, I didn't know what number." He was like, "Was that number good enough?" And Trump was like, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, I didn't know what number you wanted me to say." It's because they're not planning on actually doing these things. They're
Yeah.
just saying these things.
No, it's true. I mean, you got like Saudi Arabia saying that they're going to commit, $1 trillion. There's not very
Yeah.
many countries that can even, commit that besides, oil countries in the Middle East, Japan, and, it'd be like China coming and trying to, put money into the United States or even, Russia itself and things like that. Cause there's not very many places that could even do that. And it's just, yeah, it's kind of a little bit, to be honest with you.
Now I gotta kick you. You slurred. Take that word out of your lexicon. That's ableist, and you shouldn't be saying that. You need to completely remove that from your lexicon.